Inspector back here, and been away looking through the system of the secret cult system that the Antichrist is planning through orders like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, Satanism, and all forms of buloi that goes on around the world, not just in Africa but all across. Not long ago we uncovered the subject of a secret cult language when we were listening to one particular prophet from Ghana during his 2023 entry service. Now, on this particular series of videos, however, we're going to show how almost it's ingrained into the system. Yesterday, we spoke about a video of videos, almost a series of 3 videos where a rapper by the name of Lil Uzi openly claimed that his followers are doomed and they are listening to satanic music. Now on this particular one, I'm going to show you how it's in the culture now. A person by the name of Biggie Smalls, or somebody who was known as Notorious BIG. Before we go into how the cult system, it's so easy to see how it spread itself and the ritual forms that follow it. This might be a 3 to 4 episode series, but on this particular one, I'm going to show the culture aspect and how you will see it in the clothing, how you will see it in the celebrities promotion. So yesterday, coming from the particular video that we spoke about Lil Uzi, then you go to the video that we made about Pearl Tusi. Then you come to this video where we are talking about, and we also go back into the video that we spoke about how it's ingraining itself into Pan-African teachings. You will see where we are going. Notorious B.I.G. or Notorious Big, or Biggie Smalls as he was known, was one of the individuals who was being used in the early 90s to promote Satanism, to make Satanism become acceptable. Now someone might ask how. Notorious was actually working on a brand that was called 666 right before he died. Now you'll remember that on the previous episode when we spoke about the secret cult, we said others are used to further the idea that they themselves might never see come to pass. And it's the same thing with Notorious B.I.G. He never saw that brand come to pass, but they got to infiltrate the culture with clothing and brands with satanic symbolism to kind of represent what would come after in the culture, particularly in clothing and so forth. Second artist to have carried that particular band was Chris Brown. Chris Brown, when his clothing brand was put out, that clothing brand was called Black Pyramid, I think, if I can remember the name properly. And if you remember, it was the whole symbol of the Freemasonic triangle pyramid hole Nankhachas, which is speaking of levels. It's not just speaking about, it's not just, oh, it's fashionable. It has nothing to do with American culture. So how does Chris Brown fall into that particular? It's the idea of ranking that it speaks about. Now, that's not the only one. You will remember when Tyga was establishing his brand, he also latched on to the symbolism of Egyptian worship and Egyptian gods, Horus and so forth. Even in his television show, they used to always show it. It's ingrained in television, they've ingrained it in the music, it's ingrained also in the clothing. You'll remember also Chris Brown had a song called Is a Fallen Angel, and that song was singing about sympathy for the devil. Artist portraying sympathy for the devil. We did an entire breakdown on that entire video. We did also portray it with Michael Jackson when he did his We Are the World song, clearly portraying that the song was a clear attack on the Bible. Now, let's get back to that symbolism which you saw in Biggie Smalls, 666, which he was trying to launch right before he died. There's another company out there called Mischef. This company is the same company that lately partnered with an artist by the name of Lil Nas X, very new to the scene. He's been there for the last couple of years, but they partnered with him to launch a satanic blood in the sneaker satanic shoe. They released 666 pairs only. They put it within the clothing. You see, Satanism is being pushed. You go on further from that, and you'll remember that there was a clothing brand that Kanye West was once spotted wearing. I can't remember exactly the name of the brand. If it was, I think it was KT something. You can see it when Rihanna was spotted wearing the same thing. The two of them, Kanye West and also Rihanna, went on to establish clothing brands. Those are both billionaires right now. As a matter of fact, they are so ingrained into the system. When Kanye got cut off from one of his deals, the brand had to try and bring him back. That clothing brand, by the way, you can see pentagrams. You can see, and remember, these are symbols of ritual worship, satanic ritual worship, by the way. And so, quite interesting to see that these people were also put out to promote this stuff. Miley Cyrus later on spotted wearing the satanic 666 shoe by Lil Nas. Later on, she was also spotted with that. So you can see, ingrained in the culture. If you go on further from that, Playboy Carti, I think that's his name, his clothing also sports Masonic symbolism all over. And that same branding that you see Playboi Carti promoting and so forth, which contains Freemasonic symbolism, you will then also notice that also the boyfriend of Rihanna presently, what's his name, A$AP Rocky, he also was spotted wearing some Masonic symbolism. They were given this clothes or promoted or paid to make to portray themselves wearing these clothes, to ingrain it into the culture. So you see how these artists are being used in one way or another to promote the imagery that Satan, normalizing Satanism, you can almost put it like that. Then later on, Drake was also later spotted, speaking about Mischef, the company Mischef. Drake was later on spotted wearing Mischef brand shoe called Jesus Water, Jesus Walk, something like that. They had a version, remember the same company that made the Devil shoe for Lil Nas. Drake was spotted wearing the Jesus version of that shoe, which had holy water. It was a blasphemous shoe, because we know what Mischef is all about. They've promoted all kinds of things. They did a brand deal with one food company. I can't remember what the name of the food company was, but they had 666 on there. And they've openly claimed that they do meetings sitting in a pentagram. So it's quite interesting to see how the culture is ingraining itself within clothing and filtering itself into the clothing, that it becomes part of the culture. That Satanism becomes part of the culture. It becomes accepted at that level. But they're using the newer millennials who are so into trends and so forth in order to push it forward. And I wanted to use this here as an example to say this is not far off. So when you hear us talking about a secret agenda on the next episode, don't be shocked. They've been pushing the agenda. And they've been pushing it for years, by the way. It's just been failing. God hasn't given them that. God is holding them back, the same way you see in the Bible, where the Bible talks about angels holding back the devil from being capable to do whatever he wants. After the church's rapture, that's why you see all kinds of things erupt. the mark of the beast is put forward. So be careful. Part 2 coming soon.